Hi, my name is Kayla Knowles. I am the Director of Production Design. All of your students have had me before, whether in classes or an after-school crew. So I'm going to make this pretty short and sweet. I'm going to be talking about Film Technologies 1 and 2 and Performance Seminar 1 and 2, just because most of your students have one, if not two, of those classes all at once, and almost all of your students have had me before for a class. This is my 5th year at Costa. I'm super excited to teach. I've been the director of production design most of the time that I've been there, and most of the time that I spend at school on a normal face-to-face time. I not only serve as the director of production design, but also a technical director for the after-school program. When I'm not at school, I'm usually watching movies, playing games, board games, and video games, or reading. That's why I make so many references that your students pretend not to get. I know they do. I've been doing this since I was in 8th grade myself, so I'm super passionate about teaching kids to do this as well and sort of continuing it on to the next generation. I am going to, like I said, sort of run through these things because most of your students are in one, if not both, of these classes. Film Technologies 1 is a focus on sort of the breadth of film. They learn about filmmaking, film history, and screenwriting. We're sort of focusing this first semester on film history and screenwriting, and then next semester we really get into camera work and getting into different jobs within film. In Film Technologies 2, we take it global. We don't really focus on mostly any film that's actually in English, but we sort of travel from continent to continent, country to country, and we're watching films from each of these areas. We look at them from a historical point of view, we look at them from a camera work point of view, and we look at them just for their sort of intent and what they brought to the sort of film world. Performance Seminar 1 and 2 do essentially the same things. They take 2 years of this course because usually they're taking this course along with the theater, so they do different shows each year. This year we're still playing with what it'll look like in a digital platform, but your students are starting with career readiness and awareness. So we're actually right now looking into resume building, portfolio building, cover letter writing, all the fun stuff that your student needs to have for skills to be to be entering this professional environment. We're going to look at famous designers and design work. We're going to work on sort of the higher level marketing and those sort of areas while we're in the digital realm. If we end up going back to an in-person platform, then we will be doing in-class shows. So that's just kind of a very quick rundown. Like I said, I'm running through real quick because all of your students have had me before. Sorry. Just a refresher course. Your students' classes should be on the Google Classroom. The platform looks very much like this, except with way less classes because I have a classroom for every class I teach. Depending on the class that you have, Film Technologies or Film Technologies 1 or 2. Film Technologies 1, when you click on it and you go into the Classwork tab, all of the classes are going to want to access my work through the Classwork tab. It's just a lot cleaner, a lot easier to look at. Your student will have all of their work on here split into different weeks. And then if your student missed a week, they were out of school that week, couldn't make classes, then they can also click into these highlights. I try to post these highlights at the end of each week. They've got the video recordings for the week and what is due on that Sunday. Our grading policy has changed a little bit since last year. So discussion boards, which will say discussion board here on the classroom, and quizzes, which will say quiz here on the classroom, cannot be turned in late. They close after the date. These are time-sensitive things, and we're focusing on sort of speaking about them the next week, and so that's why they have a specific due date. Projects, classwork, and any writing assignments can be turned in up to 2 weeks after the due date. So you do have a little bit of wiggle room with those other assignments. It's just the discussion boards and quizzes that have a time lockdown sort of unchangeable and unmovable. If your student receives a poor score on a discussion board, project, classwork, writing assignment, a student can resubmit that work up until the end of a semester to improve their grade. So as long as they meet that initial deadline, they can improve their work for a later date. Last thing that you want to sort of be checking out is your students' Power School. You go to Quick Links Power School on our Costa website. This is where the grades are posted. I try to update them at least once a week, usually Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, so those first 3 days of the week. And sort of tracking your students' PowerSchool progress is going to be the easiest way to keep track of if your student is turning in assignments or if assignments are being missed. If an assignment says missing next to it when you click into it, that means that a student can still submit it for credit. If there's just a 0 and it doesn't say anything, it means that that assignment window has closed. You guys can contact me over email. That's why I ask all my students to submit work over the Google Classroom, because email is really the way